Ron in the Art Moose studio, and we're lucky enough to have Ron Ownbey. And he was a teacher and instructor at the university for 35 years. He's been painting for a little longer than that, and you really had kind of a neat beginning. I was really infatuated with the ranch part.
Yeah, what kind of got me started was my brother and I were raised in the Los Angeles area, mostly Covina, but we always spent summers at my great-grandparents' ranch high in the Sierra Nevada mountains above the city of Bishop. And because I only had my brother to play with, because we were surrounded by national forest and all the fruit trees and everything else, but no, you don't play with an apple or orange or something like that. So I would go out and sit among the pine trees and the rocks, and I would start painting and drawing. And that's how I kind of got started.
And you've been motivated or inspired by all kinds of locations. Barcelona, the ranch. You like Europe, you like London, but you really liked Barcelona.
I really like Barcelona. I've always been intrigued by things that grow and animals and people, things that are organic. And everything from what you see when you look in a microscope to what you see when you look in a telescope at the universe, and then all the things that grow and how they change, and when things come up out of the ground and how they change over a period of time, etc. So my work is very heavily influenced by things that are very organic. And places like Barcelona and the ranch are fascinating, London, Venice, and Florence, because they have a lot of things, art that I think was inspired by things that were organic as well as other reasons why they were done. And so those were always inspirational to me, and that's why I love visiting those cities, and the ranch, which was just a grand place to grow up in the summertime.
Some of the first art we're going to look at today is your digital art.
Yes.
And can you explain a little bit how you did that?
Yeah, it's sort of, well, it came about because after years of teaching drawing and design in the late 80s, we needed to start teaching computer graphics to our students. And nobody else in the department wanted to go near it. And so
I could understand that.
I decided, okay, I'll try it and see what I can get. So I organized a whole program, we got started, and so that's when I started doing it. And I did a little on my own at the time when we were doing it. These are examples of them. But it wasn't until I retired in 2000 that I really started doing a lot of it on my own. I just love working on the computer, doing things, using it as a paint program. Because I don't use photographs usually. It's all done in Photoshop. This one right here, for instance, is, if you look at it closely, is a bird protecting the egg in the nest. And it's kind of semi-abstract, but that's what it was based on. There was a bird in a nest outside my studio for a while, and that's where the inspiration came from.
What I'm impressed with is the depth. So you understand how to do shadowing, which I've seen a lot of work in the computers, and trust me, you tricked me, because the first time I saw it, I thought they were acrylic. So, and the depth is where it's all at. That's what gives you that. You can look into the deepness of the art.
Yeah, I think that's because I'm a firm believer in the fact, I think when you learn art, you need to learn your craft, and you need to learn all of the things about composition and, you know, the chemistry of the paints and color theory and all that, and so that whole thing comes from that, learning how to deal with shadow, how to do reflection and so on. And I don't think a lot of artists always get that background. And so I know it influences mine a lot, and I'm always pretty much influenced by the idea of things that are very, not only organic, but very linear.
So you also do colored pencil?
Yes, these are some examples of my colored pencil. Some of these were influenced, this one especially, when in 74, 75, I was on sabbatical, and I spent 3 weeks going down the Nile in Egypt, and that was the year my son was born. And so a lot of these have Egyptian symbols and stuff in them based upon what I was going through. And I also, not too long after that, went to China. So things as I travel influence what I do also.
So that's where the dragon came from.
Yeah.
And then we go into a lot of ink, and you got kind of a special way of doing your, it's really not pen and ink, it's kind of hypodermic ink.
Yeah, when I was in Otis as a student a long, long time ago, I tried to find ways of freeing myself up as I would draw. And so what I discovered was if I put India ink in a hypodermic needle, a portable one, a throwaway one, and then I just push on the ink as I draw like this, I get all kinds of interesting textures and lines and everything, and then I come back in them and I add and refine once I start seeing the image in them. This is more recent, a couple years ago. It's ebony pencil and colored pencil, and I also use turp on it, which gives me kind of like a value like a wash. This is a painting that's more recent. You can see it's very organic, almost like you could plant it and it would grow, etc. And there is kind of an eye and a face in it, but it's semi-abstract. And then I've also, over the years, not recently, over the years, I've done things where I use acrylic to paint on three-dimensional objects. And also I did some things in gold leaf that were more sculptural in nature, too.
A little bit of three-dimensional
Yeah.
work. Well, it's been really amazing having you here today, and I've learned more today than I've learned in a long time about different ways of doing stuff, and you're truly a great artist.
Oh, thank you.
It
I
was a
appreciate
pleasure having you here today.
Appreciate that. Thank you.